I really enjoyed being in this movie. It was a great experience. I learned a lot. We had a great bunch of people in here. It wasn't my original role. My role was switched. I was supposed to have a benevolent character, a sympathizer with the Aboriginals. It was the opposite of who I am. It wasn't who I am. I'm not that type of guy. It felt horrible. I didn't like it. It's not me. It's not who I am. I have seen these types of things in class before. A lot of people don't realize that racism does exist.
I really enjoyed being in this film, and I really enjoyed meeting everyone that was involved. I have experienced this in the classroom setting. I have experienced in the halls. I used to go and hang out at certain places, and I looked different than other people. You could always see a different look. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I felt really positive about being in the movie as I got the opportunity to show one specific Indigenous experience, and Chelsea had the opportunity to show another, and it's really important to show the diversity of the Indigenous experience. My experience in classrooms has been both positive and negative. I've suffered through a lot of microaggressions, as most people don't know that I'm an Indigenous student, so there's been some racism that does come out.
I like very much being in the movie. I feel it's a great experience. I don't know, I feel like I have to speak up for all the Spanish people in Canada. I had a lot of experiences like this being in a classroom here in Canada because cultural differences are like huge here.
It's a really interesting experience. First of all, I got to meet really nice people and from different backgrounds, and for me that's really something I can relate to because my background is different, mixed. I can't relate to these experiences like directly. I think because my schooling was all about international school, It was an international school, and it was a mix of a lot of different cultures and backgrounds, and we all went. It was fine, I think, but my background is different from the others, I guess.
It's definitely a very interesting experience. I think for me, it's a very reflective experience because coming to Canada, I did feel like a lot of issues around racism or inequality came up, and sometimes, I question myself as a new immigrant, am I being overly sensitive, or do those issues really exist? Through this movie, I think, but I'm glad I'm part of this movie to bring forward those issues for discussion, potentially.
I enjoyed every part and being in the movie. It was an illuminating experience, and this helped rewrite the narrative in terms of classroom discussions and talks with people with disabilities, people that are from different religions, creed, different genders. So it shouldn't matter. It's not just in the classroom. I think it's part of our culture, and I think it will take time to change it.
I found being in this movie was really interesting. In my class, people try to avoid this topic, but because some of the course subject, the professor has to bring up some sensitive stuff. So I do see people have argument over a topic like this sometimes, but it's usually not a big deal.
I really, really enjoyed being in this film. I feel like that it's going to be a really great tool in the classroom, not just for students, but also for faculty members. I feel like it has a lot of reach and a lot of nuance and a lot of diversity, and the people that were in it were so talented, and I'm just really looking forward to hearing about how it affects change inside and outside of the classroom. It's interesting that personally, I haven't seen these things in classrooms. I have seen personal encounters, overheard conversations, or just just been in situations where these kind of things came up and it became uncomfortable and discussion didn't happen. Communication wasn't there. So I really appreciated that the voices were able to be heard, and that this film, I think, is a microcosm for a lot of issues and a lot of different classrooms that we've kind of distilled into one moment.
Being in this movie opened my eyes to a lot of issues that I'd kind of been aware of were going on in classrooms, but it was a really wonderful opportunity to work with other students and to reflect on how these issues can play out in classrooms. I don't think I've seen very much of it in the classrooms that I myself have been in. I've been aware of it within other classrooms that I've kind of just gone and watched happening, especially more to do with conflicts about religions and other personal issues like that, where I've seen forms of discrimination come through.
So, playing the role of Russ was a very challenging endeavor for myself. I do have insight to this character through my personal relations. I'm from Calgary. I have lots of family and friends associated with the oil industry. I personally don't believe or don't adhere to their perspectives on issues pertaining to human rights and how we treat the land. And so playing into this character was something that I felt was very important, because those voices do exist. They were not unrealistic. They weren't blown out of proportion. I believed in the value of bringing that voice to the table. So in classrooms, I have more recently seen racism arise. I wasn't aware of it. Class after class, I began to see more and more implications of our race and our history come out in classroom discussion.
I loved being in this movie. I feel like I learned a lot about different people and their cultures, and I was able to share parts of myself with others. I feel like this has happened to me so much recently that it feels really raw. I go into stores with my sister and I'm looked at like I don't deserve to be there, or people treat me like I don't deserve to have fries. But then the next customer is an older white man and he gets a smile and friendly conversation. I try to be good to these people and I don't get it in return. I just want people to hear all of our voices and not just the voice of the settler population. And theirs is important too, but it needs to be heard within the context of everyone else's voice.